I hereby call the City Council meeting for the City of Buellton, March 11th, 2021. It's 6:01 to order. If I could get a Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody stand. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball.
Thank you very much, Linda. If I could get roll call.
Okay, Councilmember Andrusik.
Here.
Councilmember King.
Here.
Councilmember Lewis. Vice Mayor Sanchez.
Here.
And Mayor Sierra.
Here. Thank you very much. Reordering of the agenda. Do we have that tonight?
No reordering of the agenda this evening. Thank you.
All righty. And public comments. This is the public's opportunity to speak on any item, anything they want to for 3 minutes, give or take. I have the comment from Len Fleckenstein, but I believe that's for an agenda item. Number eight. So Linda, do we have any other, any public comments?
No, we don't.
All righty, then I am closing public comment. Moving on to the consent calendar. We have the minutes of February 25th, 2021, regular city council meeting. List of claims to be approved and ratified for payment to date for fiscal year 2020, 2021, and the monthly treasurer's report for January 31st, 2021. Any questions, or do I hear a motion?
Move for approval.
Okay.
I'll second.
Did you get that, Linda?
Vice Mayor Sanchez, I believe.
Got it. Okay, Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you very much. Do we have any
The fellow
presentations?
in the bottom, the fellow in the bottom line doesn't move. He hasn't moved yet.
He's okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what our
you wanted
kids are doing
CPR,
on their
so-
Zooms.
Yes.
Our kids are putting their picture up on the Zoom meeting and then going and playing in the other room.
Yep. That's what we've heard.
But nobody on council would do that.
Yeah. Not this.
Okay. Presentations tonight?
No presentations this evening, no.
Okay. Then we move on to public hearings. We have agenda item number 4, resolution number 21-03, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, adopting the Measure A 5-year local program of projects for fiscal years 2021-22 through 2025-26. And Public Works Director Rose Hess has this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members City Council. So this is an annual item we bring to the public and the City Council. It is the allocation of our Measure A local program funds. Measure A is a local sales tax, transportation sales tax that was approved by the citizens of Santa Barbara County on April 1st, 2010. As part of this tax, which is to remain in effect for 30 years from April 2010, portions of the proceeds do go to each local jurisdiction. As part of the projects and investment plans, each local agency has to approve a resolution allocating their monies for a 5-year program of projects. And this is done through a public hearing process every year so that we ensure that the public has ability to comment. So the City of Buellton, as you'll see in your staff report, has annual allocations. These are approximate based on anticipated revenue. starting at $390,478 for next fiscal year, 2021 to 2022. And it grows up a little bit incrementally and does vary through the years based on the estimates provided through SBCAG. The total for the 5-year period is approximately $1,983,686. And again, that goes to our local street and roads repair projects. In addition, anything for transportation-related items is what the monies are eligible for. The city does use it to fund pedestrian and sidewalk improvements. One of those items in particular is an annual allocation that we save to help fund improvements for the San Ynez River Trail. In addition to that, the city also utilizes our local Measure A funds to subsidize the various transit programs that the city supports, which includes the Wine Country Express, which goes from Lompoc to Buellton to San Ynez, and the Breeze 200, which goes from Santa Maria through Buellton to Santa Barbara. In addition, we also provide additional allocation to support the dial-a-ride transit for the San Ynez Valley Transit Program. So one of the items as part of the requirement for Measure A is that we continue to allocate a minimum of 5% of our Measure A allocations towards our alternative transportation. So that's any improvements that goes towards bicycle and pedestrian improvements as well as transit. So with all these other funding allocations that we have itemized, the city is well covered in that requirement. And then also just a last to note that with this measure and our local allocations, the Measure A is not intended to supplant the city's use of general funds for road maintenance purposes. The city is supposed to provide annual allocations through the general fund for these improvements and maintenance plans, but items such as this Measure A and another item later on in the agenda is only there to help support those maintenance items that the city needs to fulfill for its community. So with that, we have resolution number 21-03, which itemizes the different transit and pedestrian repairs and improvements for each fiscal year for the next 5 fiscal year. We do this as a rolling every 5 years. With that, I'm available to answer any questions and recommend that the council open up the public hearing.
Madam Mayor, you are muted.
Hate when that happens.
Thank you. Didn't tap it hard enough. Thank you very much. Does council have any questions?
No, ma'am.
No questions. All righty, then I open it up to the public for public hearing. Do we have any public who wish to speak on this, Linda?
No comments.
Okay, then I bring it back to council for discussion.
I move that we approve resolution 21-03, resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, adopting Measure A 5-year local program of projects for fiscal years 2021/2022 through 2025/26. First reading, title only.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
That was Vice Mayor Sanchez? Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, I got to get my screen fixed. I apologize. I still can't see everybody. Linda?
Okay, Councilmember King,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sanchez,
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik,
Aye.
and Mayor Sierra.
Hi. Thank you. Council member comments/items. We'll start with Vice Mayor Sanchez tonight. Do you have any comments/items?
No, I wanted to just make note that we have the thing we talked about it on Saturday about the statues on the avenue, which is kind of nice to see. And I just think it's something neat to add to town. So, and nothing else big going.
That was from our arts and culture program.
Yeah, and I'd also like to thank staff for the meeting on Saturday for a good job and the nice put together, and everybody everything was well organized. And I want to thank Linda and Scott and whoever else helped put it together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. Councilman Andrusik, any comments / items?
None at this time, Madam Mayor.
All righty. Councilman King?
Yes, I'd also like to say that I thought that meeting that we had at the Williamson property was I think we got a lot accomplished on that, and there was a lot of ideas and concerns from the public. So I think that it was a good meeting, and that we can go forward from here with that.
Terrific. Thank you very much. I agree. Saturday's open council meeting to discuss the Williamson property and some of our, council protocol went very, very well. I would like to bring back, this is my opportunity. We had a green team meeting today, and I'll do that later, but I would like, if council is amenable, I would like to invite a guest speaker who spoke today, Annie Yakutis, who has some ideas about community gardens. It's not a very long presentation, but I think council could really benefit from it.
Madam Mayor, if we can certainly schedule this for a regular Thursday night meeting if the council would prefer, or as I mentioned to a couple of you, based on the comments we've received at Saturday's meeting, particularly regarding the Williamson property, and the desire of the city council to hold more of these town hall forum type meetings, a town hall forum, an additional one on the Williamson property could be held, say, in April, which would give an opportunity for Ms. Yakutis and some others who did not have an opportunity to come and speak to you on Saturday to present ideas and give the city council a little more discussion time before bringing it back to a regular council meeting for discussion and a decision.
We could do that. I know her ideas do not, they're not necessarily Williamson property ideas.
Okay. So whatever the pleasure of the council is on that.
Council members, is it okay?
Meeting be fun.
Yes, as long as we have it upstairs, Scott, and the wind isn't blowing the leaves in.
Might have
heaters
a
are
little bit of a problem
inappropriate.
holding it upstairs. I'll see what we can do.
Thank you. Okay. With that, we move on to communications, written communications.
No written communications this evening, Madam Mayor.
All righty. Committee reports. Do we have any committee reports?
No, ma'am.
No committee report. Okay. Green Team met today. Some really interesting. Rose gave the SB 1383, the Organic Waste Reduction Program presentation to us. Annie Yakutis gave us the community gardens. Let's see. There were so many of them today. Bill Bulow gave us the groundwater management planning, and Garrett Wong from the county an update on the climate collaborative. And I just really, really want to thank Andrea, Cara, Irma, and Claire for putting it together. We had, it was quite a group today. It was a rather large group for the Green Team, and I thought you guys pulled it off flawlessly. So thank you very much. That was good.
Bringing presentations on different topics there. I think it was a nice meeting today. So.
It was good. It was a busy day. Yeah. Okay, so with that, we move on to our business items. Agenda item number 5 is consideration of contract with National Demographics Corporation for demographer services. And our contact is City Clerk Linda Reed.
All right. Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. So back in 2019, the city of Buellton entered into a settlement agreement to create voting districts in the city by November of 2022. As you know, census data is needed to create districts, but staff must also work with a demographer to draw lines for the 4 districts. The mayoral seat is separate and will remain at large and voted for by all residents, registered voters. Staff requested proposals from 5 demographer agencies and received responses from 4 of the 5. We reviewed all proposals, and the best fit appeared to be National Demographics Corporation, NDC, based on the price and the scope of services. Staff spoke with neighboring city clerks who had used NDC in the past, and they spoke very highly of Doug Johnson and his agency, and were actually rehiring his agency to redraft district lines following the census count this summer. The city of Goleta and the county of Santa Barbara have also hired NDC. Staff spoke with Doug Johnson and feels confident his agency can provide the city with great service. And although he's very busy, he has hired sufficient staff to handle his workload. The city will be given a point of contact with NDC, who currently lives in Goleta, and this will be beneficial as he's already familiar with the city. Doug Johnson and Daniel Phillips are both here with us tonight on Zoom and can answer any questions that you may have. As far as the fiscal impact, it'll be approximately $13,750. This is going to be $8,750 for the basic project cost, plus $1,250 for virtual public hearing meetings. It's possible that NDC will only be at 2 of them, but we've budgeted for all 4 in case that's needed. So staff recommends that the council authorize the city manager to enter into a contract for demographer services with NDC, and that finance create a budget line item for the proposed expenditure. And that concludes staff's report, and we're available if you have any questions, and the city attorney also can weigh in if need be.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Linda. Any questions for our clerk or the company? No questions?
I have a question.
I just had one. Or Dave, did you have a question?
I know, that was a no, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
I believe the vice mayor did, ma'am.
Thank you. I can't see him on my screen.
Yes, this is John. I have a question. This may be more of an operational question, but we're going to have 4 districts or 5 districts?
It would be 4 districts, sir. When the voters decided to move to a directly elected mayor, that means that there are 4 council members to be elected by district. So, yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
I had a quick one. I think I know the answer. The school district, I believe, Buellton Unified School District has to go to district elections for their school board. We're not pulling together with them to do this because their districting is different from ours. Is that correct?
That is correct. We have 4 districts. They're going to have at least 5. And if my memory is correct, they include some land outside the boundary of the city.
They do. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. That I thought that was it, but I just was seeing if we could save some costs.
Sure.
Anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. If there are no other questions, I'm going to open it up to the public. Do we have any public comment on this, Linda?
No public comment.
Okay. Then I am closing it to public comment, bringing it back to council for discussion and possible action.
Madam Mayor, I move that we authorize the city manager to enter into a contract with National Demographics Corporation for demographer services.
Second.
Councilman Andrusik gave it a second. I unfortunately for our little town, I hate to see it have to happen, but I'm sure that the National Demographics Corporation will do a great job. So, Linda, go ahead.
Okay, Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sanchez.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, don't go too far, Linda. Agenda item number 6 is the discussion regarding campaign contribution limits. And that would be you.
Okay, so this is more of a housekeeping item tonight. Just wanted to bring this forward so that you're aware and we're on record that we discussed this and you guys give your recommendations. So Assembly Bill 571 went into effect in January of this year and allows cities to either set a campaign contribution limit or default to the state's limit, currently set at $4,900 from a single source per election. The default amount can be adjusted by the FPPC in odd-numbered years. Please note that cities who adopt their own contribution limits must also consider how they're going to enforce the misdemeanor restrictions. So staff recommends that the City Council determine whether they want to use the state default campaign contribution limit or establish a higher or lower contribution limit, and which would be brought back through a resolution and an ordinance format at a later meeting. So that concludes staff report, and we're available if you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Linda regarding campaign contribution limits? This is just the question phase. Seeing none, I open it up to the public. Linda, is there anybody out there in the public who's...
Nobody in the public that's making a comment.
Thank you. Closing it to public comment, discussion, and bringing it back to council for discussion, possible action. I don't think well, Vice Mayor Sanchez, you go ahead.
Well, could we go to 0 on that? On contributions instead of 4,900, and it's 4,900 per, could there be 10 groups that could $4,900?
I'm not clear on the question.
Good question.
It's interesting because I look through many different resolutions and ordinances that other cities put together, and Greg could weigh in on this too. He probably knows. City of Santa Maria went to 0, and their resolution in doing that allowed them basically not to have any limits. And Greg may know more about this than I do, but I just thought their resolution was interesting because it didn't make them have the $4,900 limit, and it didn't make them set a higher or lower limit. So
they have no limit then?
They went to 0, and they did a resolution that said they had 0 limits. And supposedly,
interesting.
I apologize. My question was if we could reduce it to 0.
Like $0. So
right. So no contributions. From if somebody wants to run, they can run and spend their money, and with nobody contributing to.
Sir, as I think about it, it would be worth looking into. My immediate question or my immediate legal concern would be that you would wind up with somebody saying it was a violation of the First Amendment right to participate somehow in the process. I also think you might get a public interest group saying that it would favor those that had the extra cash to be able to run on their own without getting contributions from neighbors and other residents. Certainly something we're willing to look at if the council gives us that direction. If you think it's reasonably legally safe, I'll explain to you all what the risks are, and you can adopt that resolution if you'd like. I'm happy to look into it.
Yeah, I know we have political PACs out there, we have neighbors out there, and I do believe that there are probably interested residents who would perhaps consider running for council but cannot afford it. And I think if we just go to absolutely no contributions, I think, I don't think that's fair to the community as a whole. I agree with you, John. I think 4,900 is, I don't think you've ever taken any money, and I've never taken any contributions. And if you spend $1,000 or more, there's a lot more paperwork. So I've never spent more than that. And now that we're going to
Right.
districting, there'll be less need. I mean, you're going to have a much smaller area.
Right.
So I think if you want to come down from the 4,900, I totally okay with that. But I think not having any limits at all is not something I would choose. But 4,900, I don't think most of us have ever even come close to half of that on a campaign. So Councilman King, Councilman Andrusik, I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Well, here's my thoughts on that, Madam Mayor, is that, you know, if you go to like, you can't take any contributions from anybody. And I'm in accord with you is if I've had, you know, a couple of $100 from somebody to buy signs or something, that may be the case. But if you go to zero contribution, what John is suggesting, I think that you're going to have people that are at a disadvantage, like say people that, you know, want to be involved civically, but don't have really any money to buy $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 worth of signs, literature, advertisement, and they're going to need to go out and ask people for a contribution for them to be able to do that. Then you're really going to limit the people that can really even put their hat in the ring. So going with like zero contributions, you know, I agree that you may be able to bring that down a little bit if you want to do that. But saying that people can't take any contribution, and I don't really think that, and I understand where John's going with this, is that you may get a contribution from somebody and then now you're beholden to that certain interest. But, you know, saying that you can't get, you know, any local representation, then you're taking people that may not be able to afford to buy advertisement and political signs or whatever. You have taken them completely out of the equation, because someone that may be on a limited income could never come up with that money to run for a local office.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not that they need much. Yes, John. Or
The,
Vice Mayor.
I was just putting it out there and wondering, and it's a good point and well taken. For an action tonight, we'd have to change something, and if we had to change something, it probably cost us more to change it than anything. And if the $4,900 is just a okie dokie, let's do that, then that would be better than trying to change the verbiage of anything. We can just go along with the flow, because nobody's going to spend too much money for 1/4 of the seat. You know, when you think about it, there's going to be 2,500 or 1,200 and some residents per vote, and if somebody wants to spend a bunch of money to get 1/4 of the vote, you know, or that, I think that's going to happen anyway. So just for logistics, I was just running it out there to check, see, but not to have a problem and not to have to even cause any more paperwork. I'd like to just make a motion to just go with the regular limit that the state has, and then just kind of keep us out of it.
Are you okay with that? It's not too high for you.
I don't know. If
I mean, if
they
you-
can spend,
hey,
they can
John,
spend as
before
much
you
as they
make-
want. Okay.
Hey, John, before you concrete that motion, I mean, I don't know about the rest of the council, but if you want to drop that number to a lower amount that, you know, it's not disproportionate for the other 3 people that are going to be running for council, and make it a lower amount. I mean, I'm not adverse to that.
500, 1,000.
So the other
Like
thing,
John mentioned the number 2,500. If you wanted to drop that to 2,500, I believe, and you can ask Greg, but I think we could do that right now.
Well, as Linda said at the start, one of the things that we need to do is actually come back with an ordinance if we're not going to default to the state. So I understand what the vice mayor is saying. Is it really worth the time and energy to have staff and one of the lawyers in my firm draft an ordinance to set a lower number? That's a policy decision for you all. You can default to the 4,900. You can also spend the money and it wouldn't be huge right now. It's going to be nowhere near $4,900. I'll tell you that. To draft the ordinance and set it up. And if you want a number 500, 1,000, something that seems to make more sense for the community, go ahead and give us direction and we can bring that back. And you know, it's not a rush item. It's not something that needs to be slammed through right now. We need to have it in place by this time next year for the elections in 2022. But you know, we can put that on the back burner and have that taken care of if you guys give us that lower number that you'd all prefer.
But Greg, we also need to enforce whatever we come up with as well, correct?
True.
So there would be
True,
that.
and that is one of the downsides is as people report what they're receiving in contributions, you know, the state's going to take it in and the state's going to enforce against anybody who's above 4,900. But the city would have to be in a position to enforce if we did set a lower number. So every couple of years, it's going to take staff monitoring and then, you know, potentially enforcement saying that funds have to be returned. So there is some administrative cost to that and certainly burden on staff.
But don't they, if it's over 1,000, don't they have to set up their the accounts and all that is monitored? They have to kind of self-police themselves. It's public information, so if anybody wants to see it, I mean, it wouldn't take that much to just verify that they're under a certain limit or that they've gone over a certain limit.
Right.
But it may come down to subpoenaing, you know, records too, right, Greg? I mean, if people turn in their forms, but yeah, I don't know. It could get convoluted.
Yeah.
I thought that was all public.
Hey, John, if you're comfortable with defaulting to the 4,900, I'm fine with that as well.
I would make that motion then, just to keep just to reduce any of our policing and all that, and just leave it to the state and let them be the cover it, and we'll just, you know, it may be something we never have to worry about.
Boy, if somebody spent 4,900 on a campaign, we'd know about it.
Yeah, maybe the mayor, but not for a fourth of the city.
And Greg,
and I will second John's motion.
okay, and Greg, what are your other cities doing for the most part?
I would say for the most part, they're defaulting for the state for the exact reasons that you all are discussing. $4,900 for one seat seems like an awful lot in most of the smaller contract cities I work for. One of the cities that I work for has just had, it's a charter city. They just had a big charter amendment go through that limits donations to $250. So their city clerk's office is gearing up to deal with that because that's going to be, as Linda has said, something that they're going to have to enforce. But the vast majority are going right along with the state because of the administrative ease and because really they've never had anybody donate $4,900 anyway.
Huh.
I have one quick question. This is just for elected officials. It's not for any kind of a other vote for a measure or anything like that. That has nothing to do with it. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Correct. Yeah, it's just for your campaigns. And as I understand it, Linda, you can correct me if I'm wrong. There's nothing in the law that says you can't go amend it. So if in 2022 somebody decides to spend $4,000 on one seat and the rest of the council feels like something's not right there, you can bring this back and amend it after that happens.
That's my understanding.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we've had a motion and a second. Any other conversation before the roll call? No? Okay, Linda, take it away.
Vice Mayor Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A good discussion, John.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Linda.
Welcome.
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 7, resolution number 21-04, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, adopting the fiscal year 21-22 list of projects funded by SB1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017, Public Works Director Rose Hess.
Excuse me. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. This is another annual allocation of funds that we bring to the City Council and also for viewing for the public. This is regarding SB1, also known as the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017. And later in that same year, portions of the act was dedicated towards a road maintenance and rehabilitation account, the RMRA. And that portion of this tax goes to the local agencies, again, to supplement the agency's needs for road maintenance repair. Only road maintenance projects are eligible for use of these funds. Every year, again, we are required to do the resolution. And as part of that, we are required to submit the exact streets and locations that we are to expend these funds and list the service life and approximate location, including the exhibit, which shows the areas that the funding expenditure would go to. As you'll see on Exhibit A to your Resolution 21-04, the location that's identified, which we have in our road maintenance project, is the next location for 2021-22 fiscal year, and that would be the Meadow View neighborhood area. So those streets have been identified in the exhibit and called out. At this point in time, we're looking at crack sealing and slurry seal for that project, including appurtenant repairs and curb and gutter and sidewalk, et cetera, localized repairs for removal and replacement. Useful life for the slurry seal extends it to 15 years. And we've identified this in our budget already as CIP number 092-320. In addition to that, on the second page of the exhibit, we also relisted Road Maintenance Project 092-319, which is the McMurray Road road maintenance repair. We are proposing to slide this portion of the project, which was originally allocated for this fiscal year. And so if we were to use any portions of the SB1 funds, whether we actually do or not, we need to make sure we identify that as part of this resolution. So that's why it's attached in this particular resolution. With that, the total anticipated revenue for this upcoming fiscal year is $106,577. It's a small amount, but again, that's meant to supplement our other funding sources used towards road maintenance projects. As part of the accountability for SB1, upon approval and adoption of Council's resolution, this project and resolution will be uploaded into the state's website, where they keep a master list of projects that are allocated towards these funding sources. And also later on in the year, in the September-October timeframe, we are supposed to provide audit reports on the actual expenditures completed for the prior fiscal year. So with that, we offer resolution number 21-04, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. First of all, any questions for Director Hess? I just had one, Rose. You've got the Meadowview area, and I know we rotate neighborhoods around, and you put McMurray back on. McMurray definitely needs some work, but we had talked about changing parking designations on McMurray, and I'm wondering if we submit these plans to the state, does it have to be exactly as it's listed, or are we allowed to change paving, painting lines on McMurray?
Oh, yes. No. all of those details are allowed. All we need to do is show them what the locations are we're planning to use the funding source for. And so long as it's for pavement repairs, which restriping and markings is completely within that description.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Any other questions from council? And then I'm going to open it up to the public. Linda, do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not.
Batting 0 tonight. I close public comment, bring it back to council for discussion. Councilmember Lewis, it's good to see you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
And discussion and possible action.
Did anybody else notice that there's a 12 cent per gallon excise tax? And on my F-150 8-cylinder pickup truck, I probably pay about $50 to $60 per year in taxes on that. And if you have a zero emission car, they are charging you $100.
Well, thank you,
Council.
Thank you, Councilmember
was-
King, and I stepped up to do my civic duty, I guess.
You bought one of those.
I have a Volt. I love my Chevy Volt.
So my question to you is, how much did your electric bill go up?
I have solar. I don't have an electric bill.
Oh, okay, there you go.
You know, every now and then.
All right.
Is that a move
Any?
for approval?
Okay, Vice Mayor Sanchez makes the motion.
And I will second
Motion
it.
Okay, Linda, you got that?
I think so. Vice
Okay.
Mayor Sanchez,
Aye.
Councilmember King,
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik,
Aye.
Councilmember Lewis,
Aye.
and Mayor Sierra.
Hi. Boy, we're just zipping tonight. Agenda item number 8. Update regarding Central Coast Water Authority, the CCWA State Water Contract Amendment numbers 20 and 21. Back to you, Director Rose Hess.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Member City Council. So this item is completely just an update for council. So you're aware, the city is part of the Central Coast Water Authority, which is one of the state water project contractors. The city receives state water project water as part of its water supply. So with this state, there are certain contract amendments that have been proposed through the state that affects the city and the member agencies. Most current is amendments number 20 and 21. Number 20 is also called the contract extension amendment, which is pretty straightforward. All these amendments are from Department of Water Resources. So this extends the contract term from February 2038 through December 2085. So it extends the period of the contract, the different contractors' abilities to obtain state water, and also the terms in which bonds and repayments need to be made. The second one is Contract Amendment number 21, and that one is referred to as the Water Management Amendment. And that is an amendment that has been negotiated between the state and all the state water project contractors, and that's not just CCWA, in which it allows the individual contractors the ability to sell and buy water without a commitment to return or receive water in exchange. Currently, the water contract doesn't allow outright sales of water, but allows exchanges with repayment of water in future years. And that's been a common practice, particularly during the drought periods when some agencies have more water available and others obviously don't. These items go through the county of Santa Barbara. As far as approval, there is a relationship there which establishes the county as a party to the contract with Department of Water Resources when when our area had first contracted for state water project. In the most recent County Board of Supervisors meeting, March 2nd, Amendment number 20 was approved, and the conditions for the terms were agreed with by CCWA and also the CCWA Board of Directors. Amendment number 21, however, was still tabled by the Council Board of Supervisors. And that still needs additional discussion between CCWA and county staff. There's some disagreement as far as the terms of amendment number 1, and that includes the rate of transfers. The county had wanted to set the control of the rate of what external transfers and the fee that would be charged for water sales within the county and outside the county if that were to occur. And there's various agreements that were and conditions that were placed on Amendment 21, which CCWA didn't agree with. Part of that, the CCWA directors had sent a response letter to the county with clarifications for numerous items that they are still to further discuss. No specific time frame has been placed as far as the response from the county or when any items would be brought back to the Board of Supervisors. At this point in time, our area, our contract with the state is, I think, one of the only ones, if not few, that has yet to approve locally amendment number 21. That has already been in effect with the rest of the state water project contractors as of February 28th. Another issue that was raised as far as CCWA is concerned is that all these approvals of these transactions needs to go through the County of Santa Barbara Board of Supervisors in order for them to take effect. So that adds additional time frame in the negotiation process with other agencies, either within our agencies in Santa Barbara County or externally. So that was one of the conditions that was expressed of concern for the CCWA Board of Directors. So we wanted to bring this attention to our City Council so that this item is still of concern and a major issue that the CCWA Board of Directors is reviewing and discussing. We do have a representative on that board. That's Councilmember Andrezek. And his alternate, Councilmember Sanchez, has also been kept up to date with this as well. But we want to make sure the entire council is aware of these negotiation and discussions that are in process. It doesn't specifically impact the city of Buellton at this particular point in time because we have not had the need to purchase or sell any of our state water allocations. So we're kind of sitting back and just kind of watching the progress. We agree with the concerns that every action that the CCWA participants would have to go through would require Santa Barbara County Board of Supervisors approval, which definitely reduces our flexibility and the expedition of any agreements that would need to occur. So with that, that's a general broad overview of what we can provide for you tonight. And if you have additional questions, either myself can answer, Councilmember Andrezek as well, and our city attorney has been involved in the discussions and updates for the process for the past several months as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We do have the one public comment letter, which gives me some pause. But before we go there, does council have any questions for Rose or Councilman Andrusik or Vice Mayor Sanchez regarding these contract amendments? Rose, I had a quick one. If the county has already approved Amendment 20, then isn't that kind of a done deal?
Yes, that one is a done deal. When I started the staff report, I didn't have that information
Okay.
complete, but since that had been, the two amendments have been in close discussion with each other, I just thought it pertinent to just
Okay.
keep that in the loop
So,
for everyone.
I mean, we can vote on 20 and 21, but 20 has already been approved and accepted.
Correct. And there's no vote that's required or anything tonight. It's completely an informational item to keep our entire council members appraised of this subject matter.
Thank you.
I think it's a housekeeping more than anything, maneuver or movement.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Madam Mayor, I do have a question. I guess I could probably go to either Greg or Ed, and I'll start with Ed. As I understand it, the original contract with the state went through the county, but basically, does the county not really have any skin in the game? Is this the apprehension of the CCWA and the other water boards that the county, and the way I'm reading this and looking at it, the county basically is trying to charge the water districts for something really where they only have basically the contract with the state, but really have no skin in the game. Is that the apprehension of the CCWA? It kind of seems like the county's trying to leverage money out of the water districts.
I think it's been a fair, equitable division all along. It has just taken, every time the board comes up with a proposal to move forward, get the final approval from the Board of Supervisors, many times there are impediments or rocks in the road, if you will, that require all of the organizations to revisit a question that's been asked. There are a lot of people with expertise in water control and management, and they're ever vigilant in protecting their water rights. And I think that's where I've always felt we've been judicious from the CCWA to protect all of the communities, each of the contract operators.
So why is the county asking for a surcharge in the water districts? Greg, maybe you can answer that question.
Let me just add a little bit to the discussion. I obviously I'm a little bit new to this, but being new to it, I came in and tried to learn as much as I could, as fast as I could. Councilman, you're right. The county has the initial the county continues to have the contract, the state water contract with the state water project. CCWA entered into what was called a transfer of financial responsibility contract. That allowed CCWA to, for all intents and purposes, be the entity contracting with the state water project, except that as a technical legal matter, they're not actually the agency contracting. They're on the hook financially. They represent, as Councilman Andrusik said, all of the individual entities that make up CCWA, the cities, the water districts, but they can't take action on their own, which means that anytime something like this comes, they do have to go through the county and get the county to approve these actions because the county is the contract holder. In this case, I'm not going to be cynical, which, as you know, is rare for me. I'm going to give the county the full benefit of the doubt. In their minds, what they are doing is protecting the residents of the county to the greatest extent that they can. They don't want to see the individual CCWA members shifting water out of the county that might not come back. They would rather require that water be sold within the county. And they would like to see that it be sold at rates that they think are low enough that it won't hurt one agency or another within CCWA. Why they also want another fee on top of that, I don't know. And again, I said I'm not going to be cynical tonight, so I'm not going to opine on that. But with respect to everything else, giving them the full benefit of the doubt, which I think they deserve, their staff, which as you've all said, are water professionals that know what they're talking about, their position is that that water should stay here. Some of the members of CCWA have what I believe are very good reasons for wanting Amendment 21 and wanting the ability to sell water in years when our county is flush with water, and then to be able to buy water in other years. They have good reasons for it. In my mind, those reasons don't affect Buellton as much as they affect some of the other water providers that make up CCWA. In light of that, I'm not massively concerned about Amendment 21. I think it would be good to have, and we certainly hope that CCWA and their legal counsel are able to work with the county and get Amendment 21 pushed through so that you do have some rights. But it's not the biggest deal for Buellton. As Rose said, as Scott said, this is more informational so that you all understand where this negotiation process is. You can ask questions like the ones that Councilman King has asked, because it's good that we all really understand the way that CCWA works with the county, what kind of limitations we might have, so that if something comes up in the future where we're coming to you saying that this is a problem, you'll know why. I hope that kind of gives you some background, sir, and lets you know where we are and why we are.
Right. Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, I will go to public comment. I do have one public comment. And Linda, if we get to the end of this and any more have come in, please let me know. This is from Len Fleckenstein. This is regarding CCWA State Water Contract Amendments 20 and 21. If the council discusses State Water Project SWP Contract Amendment 21, which has not yet been decided by the county board, please consider some facts and perspectives that are not included in the staff report. Number one, contrary to paragraph 1, the transfer of financial responsibility agreement between California and the county is not an acronym in need of change. In 1991, the county stepped up to guarantee to the state that the delivery of the State Water Project water to Santa Barbara County would be a safe financial investment. This fiduciary responsibility is still a valuable role. Number two, the existing policy allows CCWA members to exchange but not sell State Water Project water outside the county, thereby ensuring the exchanged water is eventually available to our ratepayers. 3, there's 5 of them. 3, under Amendment 21, a South Coast agency could sell State Water Project water and then rely more on Kachuma water, potentially reducing Kachuma supplies available for release to downstream users in the Santa Ynez Valley. The actual impact of a specific SWP water sale would vary from case to case and should be evaluated on its individual merits by county staff. Number 4, the county board has a viable role to play in decisions regarding the sale of State Water Project water because our water supplies from SWP, Kachuma, the Santa Ynez River, and groundwater are interconnected, and actions by one water provider can affect residents in both incorporated and unincorporated parts of the county. And last, Buellton City Council and the city as a CCWA member should not endorse amendment number 21. Moreover, if the city would actually consider ever selling its state water project allotment, then city staff should publicly discuss and justify this potential policy. Len Fleckenstein. Any other public comment, Linda?
No public comment.
Thank you.
Madam
Then-
Mayor.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, may I just respond to one aspect of that, please?
Please.
Just for the council's information. One of the concerns within CCWA, within their water professionals, is that the creation of this new water sales marketplace among the various state water project contractors will cause the transfer marketplace to essentially go away. So as Mr. Fleckenstein says, the current practice is that you can transfer water, say from CCWA, but it would be Buellton's allocation. Buellton could transfer water to someone in the far north of California or out into the Coachella Valley. Make that transfer and it would be on both entities' books, and the other entity would have to shift water back to Buellton through CCWA when Buellton needed it. The concern is that now that they would actually have the ability to buy and sell that water instead of having a transfer that requires a transfer of the same amount back, that transfer market might just go away and nobody would be interested in transferring or in accepting a transfer and then keeping the books. What many of these entities who approved the amendment want to do is just be able to pay now, use the water when they need it now, and then when they have water later, be able to put it on the market to see if any of the other entities want to buy it. So I completely agree with Mr. Fleckenstein as to the current market, but CCWA's concern is in looking down the line a little bit to see what this might mean in the future and whether we would, as a region working through CCWA, whether we would be able to get any water coming in from the outside, from those areas that have an excess, if we're not able to buy it from them because they would rather sell it to the entities who've adopted Amendment 21. So that's kind of the long-term concern. As I said, not the biggest issue for Buellton today, and Mr. Fleckenstein certainly brings up many other things that I think are important policy considerations for you to consider.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we closed public comment. Is there any more discussion? This is an informational item only.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Andresi.
I just wanted to add that I think, don't want to have it overlooked, the Department of Water Resources, DWR, is a clearing agent for anything that gets done by anybody. And the request that we have before the county has been accepted or understood to be acceptable for the benefit of the parties involved. They're not trying to decide, shall we give the allowance to someone and not to another. They're very fair, open-minded, and I think if anyone had any question, just reviewing or discussing their questions through CCWA staff may clear a lot of people's concerns. Many organizations are plagued with, for lack of a better word, naysayers, people that say, you're going to be sorry. But yet the success and the delivery of the water has been acclaimed by everyone that has benefited from it. And I'm not aware of anyone that feels they have gotten shortchanged or overlooked in their rights to their water.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, if that's it, then
So-
we will.
Madam
Mark?
Mayor,
Yes.
I think I kind of have I kind of have one more issue, and maybe it's just my observation of this. I haven't been privy to the meetings, Ed has, but I can kind of see the apprehension of the CCWA with changing this to a sale only rather than an exchange. You know, you may have one area that says, hey, we need a bunch of water, and they sell and say we sell it, or Solvang or whoever has access to that water, and they make a sale, but then there's no guarantee of any return of that, you know, and the prices of water at some certain times, let's say when we got a couple of years where we have a drought, when now the price of that water has tripled over what we sold it to that other agency to, and they say, oh yeah, well, you sold it to us for X, but now it's 3 times as much, rather than kind of having a barter system where, you know, and I know this is just a presentation, but maybe Ed and John go into their meetings going forward. You know, I think the exchange really is more equitable between the different agencies, because let's say we give them throw a number out. Let's say we give them 100 million gallons of water. We have that water on reserve to come back, rather than say, okay, we need that 100 million gallons of water right now, but you're going to charge us 3 times what we sold it to you for. So that's really my kind of concern with going to a sale of water versus an exchange of water, because an exchange of water really in the future is never going to have a price change. But a sale of water, like any other commodity, is going to have a change in price. So you may find yourself, hey, you know, you guys owe us 100 million gallons of water, but now you're going to charge us 3 times what we sold it to you for. So that's, I can kind of see by reading this presentation, that might be what the CCWA's apprehension about that changing to a water sale. And I may be off base, but that's just the way I'm looking at it.
Okay, thank you.
I think staff could articulate maybe more layman terms, so people can realize that they're not, you know, this is not a group attempting to purchase, or many say steal, someone else's utility, water. And
I don't think Councilman King was trying to.
no, I'm not
besmirch
talking about
CCWA.
him. No,
No,
I'm
not at
talking
all.
about the public comment that we've had of negativity has been people supposing things that haven't really gotten a basis, but they grow legs and show up in publications.
Yeah. He is a concerned resident.
Yeah, and
Right.
to you, Madam Mayor, no, I'm not thinking that anybody's trying to steal anybody's utilities or water or whatever. But I think you kind of get yourself in a sticky wicket when you start selling a commodity, because that will always have a change in value.
Water is gold, huh, Ed?
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
Water
Gotta
is
have
gold.
it to live.
Liquid gold.
Liquid gold. All righty. We're done with this item. Moving on
Okay.
to the city manager's report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. A few items for you this evening. The first item I'd like to bring up is news came out today that the federal government has approved the latest round of the COVID relief funding across a number of different levels, states, counties. The cities are going to get some of this money this time. And we have been advised that the city of Buellton will be receiving from this funding a total of $960,000. The first half of that revenue should be received here. The federal government is supposed to disperse that money within 60 days. In our case, because of the status our city holds within the CDBG framework, the state will then distribute that money to the city. So that could take up to an additional 30 days. So within 90 days, we will see about $480,000 come through. And then a year from now, we will see another $480,000 come through as part of this funding package. This money is not restricted in the typical way we see CDBG money come through. It is not, in fact, CDBG money. It's just being distributed through the CDBG system. The money can be used for anything COVID related, to include backfilling for lost revenue due to the COVID crisis. So since we can calculate that the city has lost in excess of this amount of money in revenues over the past year, we can pretty much use this funding for almost anything the city wants. There are a couple of limitations. We can't use it to pay down pension debt, and there's a couple other smaller things that are restricted. But while it's not a huge amount of money, it's certainly good news, and I think we'll be happily taking that from the federal government when they send us the check. The next item has to do with our COVID, the tier that we're in. We're currently in the purple tier here in Santa Barbara County. Our metrics, as the state requires, have been moving downward. And as of today, or maybe tomorrow, we should be solidly in the red tier range. I expect that the state will make a determination that the county will be in the red tier either this coming Tuesday or the following Tuesday, depending upon whether or not they're going to hold fast to the requirement that a county be in that tier metrics for 2 consecutive weeks. So it could be this Tuesday. More than likely, it'll be the following Tuesday. At that point, we should see businesses able to reopen to the point they were back in late summer of last year, which would certainly be a boost to a lot of our businesses and the city's revenues moving forward. As we have mentioned a number of times over the past couple of years, the state has passed down to the city quite a few pieces of legislation related to housing and the provision of housing and how the city processes requests for housing. We have a couple of projects coming down the pipe here in the near future, which will be taking advantage of some of the processes established by some of this legislation in an attempt to advise the city council of what that means for the planning commission, for the city council, and what kind of restrictions have been placed upon the city by the state. The planning department will be coming to the city council with a report to describe this legislation and the processes. I believe, Andrea, if I'm not mistaken, that's scheduled for the first meeting in April. Is that correct, or are we going to wait until the second meeting in April?
That's the plan, is the first meeting in April, but potentially one of the meetings in April.
In April, at some point, that will be coming forward. We want to make sure we that all of our all of the events we expect to take place have taken place, and we know where these applications are coming from before we bring this to the city council, so we know which areas to cover. This will just be informational, but it'll let the council and the public know why we're handling things the way we will be handling them and what the limitations of our decision-making bodies are when going to hearing on these projects. And then lastly, we've seen, I've seen a number of questions come through in the last week or so regarding when the city council might move to in-person meetings. We certainly have the ability at this point to do that should the city council desire to do that. As the city attorney indicated earlier, he would be able to be attending these meetings in person probably sometime in mid to late April. If the city council is open to that, staff can start looking at the possibility of holding in-person meetings along that time frame. Or if the council's not quite comfortable moving back to an in-person meeting, we can hold off until we see where where the pandemic numbers are at that point in time. But I'd like a little direction from the city council if you'd like to give it to me. Otherwise, we can bring this up at another meeting in 2 weeks if you'd rather discuss it at that point.
Councilman Andrusik?
Madam Mayor, I think if we remain as open or as approachable as we have been, I think that's will be the success of the of people accepting this. Any kind of delays. We've been very responsive to any, as far as I'm concerned, anybody's concerns, and staff is we're all kept abreast of what's going on and what's coming down the pike, so to speak. And I just think that I support letting staff continue to run the railroad the way that they've been running it. I'm not aware of us having created any bumps in the road. If I'm misunderstood, I apologize.
So you're in favor of continuing with the Zoom meetings then?
Well, if that's the best, I like in person myself, but I thought the concern was where are we going to, how are we going to begin? How are we going to continue to meet?
So we can, whatever the council's pleasure, we are at, it is the city council's, it is at the city council's discretion at this point whether to meet in person or not. The county public health order allows the council to do that. As I recall, the city council moved to remote meetings because of concerns about public health and safety, both internally and for the public coming to visit our meetings in person. We're certainly reaching a point where in-person meetings are going to become more safe. It's just a matter of timing. Whenever the city council is comfortable moving in that direction, we'd be happy to do that. Just let us know. And I apologize. I can see our city attorney is getting very uncomfortable because we're starting to have a discussion on something that's not on the agenda that should only be a report. So I will let that go.
Thank you, sir.
All righty. If anybody has strong feelings, they can contact City Hall
Please.
and the city manager. But
I have a
thank you very
question on
much for
that.
your report. And I turn this over to Mr. Murphy now.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. The council will now adjourn into closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D4 to discuss the potential initiation of litigation. Ma'am, what time would you like us to meet back up on that phone call?
7:30, please.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
All righty.
And Chanel, before you go, you think you have a problem with the kids? I have like 3 toddlers with 4 legs that I have to keep brushing off my lap because they want to get involved.
Why are you doing that?
And it was
My camera so you can't see the toddler's head. I'm like, if I just tilt my camera, you don't see that she's running around here.
I will trade you a 2-legged toddler for a 4-legged toddler.
I might take you up on that one, Dave.
Well, you got a lot of them.
and Chief Green, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.